Hey, what's up, everybody? This is my lunch break cancer talk thingamabob, whatever you want to call it. Where I'm just talking about life in general, cancer issues, and so on, and trying to learn this software at the same time. So today, I'm going to talk about a few things. I think yesterday I talked about having pain in my stomach. Well, pain's not so much there anymore. Ended up, I think it's some kind of infection or something like that. I don't think it's cancer related. I don't think it's cancer related, but it is. Could be. I don't know. But anyway, pain's kind of not there as much. It ended up draining, so I kind of cleaned up around the area, and could be just normally having any belly button, and because of the weather, just wearing tighter shirts, so it kind of sticks hair in my belly button. Maybe it got infected that way somehow. I don't know, but cleaned it up, sent a message to the doctor, and just gonna put some Neosporin over a little patch so I don't get anything in it, and just gonna monitor it. So that's with that. Also, if you want to follow me on Facebook, you saw that I kind of did my shadow boxing thing. That I guess that was my little workout for the day. Which crazy how, yeah, just that little bit of exercise makes you feel better. Right after I probably did shadow boxing for about 10-15 minutes, something like that. Something I used to do back in the day when I used to actually train. But it felt good, so I'm going to probably keep that up. Also, it gives into the shadow boxing side. It also loosens up the joints, you know what I mean? I sit at a desk all day long, coding and looking at different things for software. And being that you don't get to move around, and that's one thing that you can move around. I got the high standing sitting desk, which helps, and I just recently got into using it more. But just sitting around not doing anything, I got a warning. Let's see, what is this? Oh crap, that means I got a slow bit rate. I'm looking at this stream. It just gave me an error saying that my upload speed is not very good, which that's what happens when you live out in the country. So maybe, hold on, anyway, I'll just go ahead and do this. If it sucks, it sucks. I'll just make a different video later. But anyway, with that being said, is like even if you don't have cancer, you got to get up and move around. Sitting at a desk all day, even before I had the cancer, it does have an impact on your body, and a lot of that is just mobility, all that. I literally feel so much better just by moving around. Like, I'm twisting my body, you know what I mean? Moving my feet around, lifting my feet, my legs, all that stuff. Like that stuff, even if like this, I'm gonna try to get into more doing that, just because it feels good. And feeling good has a big impact on your life. Mobility, breathing, all that other crap. I literally feel like good. Anyway, so yeah, get up and move around, people. Do some activities, even if it's it was raining outside. Sure, I didn't go out in the rain, but I just sat there and walked back and forth in my other room. Put some miles on my feet just sitting in the house. So even if you got to do that, I don't see myself going to the gym anytime soon, but I'm just going to try to stay active, even if it, doing things around the house. Maybe even push-ups or sit-ups. I can't do sit-ups, but not right now, but stuff like that. So the next topic, if you guys haven't seen, I got all these projects that I do. That's kind of my relaxation after I work and so on. I have that crazy Jeep build that I'm doing. I have a 19. Let's start from the first. I have a 1952 Jeep that I'm doing to as my expression of cancer and all that stuff. What it's like going through cancer. Basically, for me, it's the treatment, all that other stuff, and it's going to be used to promote cancer awareness and so on. Well, anyway, I can show pictures of that later. But anyway, as you guys know, I had a very good friend of mine pass away over the weekend, last weekend, and it really had a big impact on me. I did it in posted in one of the videos before and so on. And I have that being said, I have a motorcycle that I've been working on. This is a 2007-8 Victory. They do not make these anymore. Let me find my folder here. They don't make these anymore, but what I was looking at doing was I decided that I would honor my friend with this bike. I've been looking at coming up with a name for it. The whole goal with this bike was to build it and then either raffle it off or sell it or auction it off. And then some of the proceeds go to something cancer related or so on. And with that being said, I decided to, like I said, honor my friend. This is actually how this bike started off. I got it in pieces. So it had been wrecked. It came with another frame, a bunch of miscellaneous parts. And this is another good friend of mine. His dad had passed away. It was a project that he was working on, and my buddy just didn't want to finish. It didn't feel like, it's a lot to take on. If you've ever started with something like this where there's nothing really there, learning how to find out where all the parts go and all that stuff is a chore. So anyway, this bike, the current status is here. But yeah, so like I said, I was trying to come up with a name for it long ago, and it's sitting on the rack, probably just as you see it in this picture. I haven't done much with it since then. It does run. I did get it running. Sounds mean as crap, but like I said, I'm gonna honor my buddy. And what I decided to do was name it after his sumo wrestling name. So he was a sumo wrestler in Japan, and I wasn't there when he was a sumo wrestler, but I know about it. And my goal, I think my thought process is to name it after his sumo name and build it kind of like I said, build it in honor of him. So at least, every time I see that thing, it'll be my, remnants of my buddy, and then once I get it done, if we auction it, it'll still go to some good cause. But yeah, so new name of the bike is Yamato Go. I think that's what I'm going to stick with. What I want to say. So with that being said, it's just finding something to do. That also helps me, I think, with my cancer, because I think a lot of, the challenges with the cancer is mental. It's the disease that eats you up, but also mentally can eat you up. And how can I say it? I'm just not letting the mental side get to me. So always keep yourself busy and trying to, how can I say that? Let's go back into that thought process with the cancer. You know how you ever been driving down the road and the person next to you goes, "You need to slow down or you're gonna get a ticket," and they keep repeating that and repeating that and repeating that. Then all of a sudden, bam, it happens. You get pulled over and you end up getting a ticket. Well, that's kind of how I feel with the cancer side. And not exactly right, because you could still get a ticket either way, right? So that's kind of how I feel with the cancer. If I let the negative side of that, suck into my mental process, then pretty much it can overtake you, and that's not fun. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how to explain that, but I'm really big on those attraction things. So if I put the worrisome side of the cancer in my head, that's pretty much going to be big. It's a big no-no in my book. You know what I mean? Um, Let me look. Oh. On to different topics. This is just gonna show you the Jeep build. I don't know, just because I love that thing too. It's crazy. I've had crazy cars, but by far, building one yourself is not just a challenge, but it's rewarding. Um, this is a long process. Actually, I kind of show you the start of this thing. And I started off, and this wasn't the one. This is what started it all. This isn't the actual current Jeep now, but this is what started it all. I bought this Jeep, found it locally, and I was thought about restoring it. Then I got it home and I was like, holy crap, that thing's pretty damn rusted. But it's all good, And I picked up, this one was beyond restoring. So I just left it as yard art, put it off to the corner in the side of the yard, and that's what it was. I was going to make the lights work. I wasn't going to do anything with it. I was just going to put it there and leave it there, and then go on about my day. Because it looked cool, Just, I'm one of those yard art guys with car stuff. Cars, motorcycles, planes, all that crap. But for whatever reason, I decided I'd get into it and get after it. I had found this body while I was actually, it was during a chemo session. I had to go down to Houston for a chemo session, and found that and picked it up on the way back. My daughters actually helped me load this up. It was crazy. But yeah, that other Jeep we just cut it up. I have the frame. Actually, I don't know if I have the frame. I kept the motor and transmission and what parts. I salvaged what I could out of it, and then moved on. And yeah, so I have two Jeeps still. So I have this one and the other one. So anyway, so I was looking at a frame because the frame was so shot of the other Jeep that it needed replaced. Well, here comes this Jeep. I found this one in Austin. Went and picked it up with my dad. And at the same time found another frame. So I got that. But anyway, I wasn't really going to do much with that other one. I just looked at it for the frame and so on. Then my dad comes out one day. I have this motor sitting around, right? So I'm like, he goes, "Hey, what are you going to do with that motor?" I was going to use it for my Celica. I have another car. And I was like, I don't know. He's like, "Well, I want to build could I use it to build a hot rod?" And I was like, I don't know. It's a long story with that, but I was like, you don't have the funds to do it. It's just, so anyway, got to thinking, I was like, hey, we got that other body out there. Why don't we use that thing? And then we'll make a rat rod out of it. And still do the same concept as what you wanted. He just wanted something to put around and so on. So I was like, hey, let's do that. So one thing led to another, kind of got to thinking about it more. And then I was like, hey, why don't we use that to promote cancer awareness? Why don't I ended up becoming back to my project. I mean, our project. This is our project. We have a couple. He's doing the majority of the work. I'm just the guy guiding the pathway for how to get it done, and helping where I can, and getting what tools we need and so on. And so it got to this point where I'm like, hey, I could use that. Then I started thinking about how would I use that to promote cancer awareness, and so I started thinking about, I was thinking about the treatment that I'm going through and so on. And I was like, that's a jacked up body, just like me, right? I was like, is there, how would you bring that into the thing? So I just kept thinking about it. And, like the body's all rusted and ratty, which I love now, it's like, and it's the Jeep itself is the body. All the bodies that I have are all 1952. So the red one, the other one that I just got on this 1952 M38, which is what the model they call it, Jeep, which I believe is a CJ2 or CJ3. But these are all military Jeeps. They had a civilian one, and then they had a military one, and these are all military. And so it got me into that, because I was in the military and all that stuff. And anyway, I just love the Jeeps, loved it. So I also went back into my childhood and was like, okay, I don't know why, but I just got into that thing of, I wanted, when I was a kid, I used to draw pictures of cars. I always wanted to build one this way, where it was like super low. It had all these different things on it, it could go up or down. My goal was to have it to where you could drive it at night. It had like either night vision, all that stuff, and super fast, super lightweight. All that. Now, granted, this isn't going to be super lightweight. It's going to be light, and this is where I keep tossing around. I started tossing around the ideas of where I wanted to go with it and how I wanted to do it. And I wanted to be able to take it to any event, whether it be like an old rat rod, maybe it'd be a car show, maybe it'd be something military, cancer related, all that. I wanted to be able to cover a bunch of different areas with it. So that's where we come into the frame status and all that. Granted, again, it's like I've done this. I don't want to say this exact thing. I haven't done it this way. Most of the time I've done cars, and I've designed things with structures and all that stuff. I've worked on planes, worked on cars, worked on motorcycles, frames, all kinds of stuff. And my dad has too, but a little bit different. My dad, he built a T-bucket back in the day. I think I had to have been 7, 8, something like that. And I remember being out in the garage with him, welding up the frame. Funny. I always have a funny story with that, because when we were building the frame for his, it just so happened I had to help him. I was helping him build the frame, right? So he's like, "Hey, come here and hold this." So I went and held these two, held the pipes together for building the frame. And he was welding it up, and every time he'd strike the arc, man, I'd get the shock, and I'd be like, and I was like, I didn't know what it was. Long story short, I'm standing in some water while he's welding. So every time he'd strike that thing, I'd get electrocuted. But he's like, "What's wrong with you?" He yelled at me, and He's like he'd grab a hold of it, but granted he wasn't standing in the water, so he never felt that. So it was funny. Anyway, that funny story that I can go into that later. But the more it was actually we were doing a frame just like this, where we were welding up the sides. I was holding it together and so on, and but I don't know why. Like he had, my goal was well, the vision I have for it. Low, I wanted a top on it because of the Texas heat, and I always liked this style. So if you ever seen like the old C cabs, which is a Model T, and the side of it looks like a C. So I kind of got that vibe from this, like an older Model T C cab kind of deal, and I'd found that thing for $100, and I was like, I could see that being chopped. You know what I mean? I could see like in my head. So we ended up chopping it up. And as we're doing that, I'm picking up this, picking up that, trying to get anything rusted and ratty looking. It has to look like that. Has to follow along with the body. And then I came up with I found the front end for it. I had been on the fence of doing a straight axle or something like this. Granted, all the ones out on the market, you're looking at least what this setup new would be $5,000. I didn't pay that for it, but I found it at a swap meet, and I was like, man, I gotta have that. The reason why I had to have it was because most of them, the steering rack is on the front, and I wanted it on the back. Now, after all the stuff that I know, I'm like, shit, I could make that front end myself. I wouldn't have to buy it. But sometimes you have to do these things in order to get to the next level, right? So I bought it. We ended up having to widen the frame. I met another local friend of mine that helped me widen it up. I found these tires that just different things. I'm constantly trying to, what if I brought it to an old rat rod event or something like that? The white walls would look cool on it. I wanted to be able to make it modular to where when you take it to an event, again, you can throw this on it, throw that on it, take it off, switch it around, kind of like a snap together or a Lego block kind of deal. And just different stuff I found along the way. If I see something that I feel will fit into it, I'll get it. Like this old fire extinguisher as an example. I'm either going to use that as I want to do a dry sump on the engine, which basically means that would be my oil, where all the oil would go. Different, I drew up things on the board. We started cutting out. Trying to piece it out. We picked up one rear end. So if you notice, so a lot of this stuff is trial and error, and if you really think about it, some of that's along the same lines as cancer treatment. You don't know what the end result is going to be, and there's no guarantee that you're going to it'll end up the way that you think. So a lot of the stuff with this build is like that. It's like trial and error. And I have a visual path in my head, and I've drawn it up on paper. Actually, I have a book for that stuff. When I am looking at stuff online for this build, it takes a lot of thought to build something from scratch. So this is one of my notebooks that has all the different ideas. I'll go out there and take pictures of it, and then I'll walk around it, toss around ideas. I mean, I did stuff like I found yeah, I found like prints of the Jeep, and then I just start drawing on it, trying to draw out the frame, trying to draw out the visual side of it. I'll take pictures of the Jeep and then try to visualize in my head how the frame is going to be laid out, all that stuff. Now, granted, some of this also is a connection with my dad. He has his way of building things, and I have my way of building things, and his way is kind of old school. Mine's kind of a little bit more modern. He sees, when we first started the Jeep, he sees it more on the T-bucket side, where you can just, it's a straight easy frame and so on. And by the way, this is something my daughter made for me. So this is my dad on we call him Mr. Moustache sometimes because of his mustache, and then my dog. But anyway, doing this, I wanted to try to bring in, it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and what I'm gonna do to it, and a lot of the like it started off as just the build, then it started adding in all the other stuff, how to express cancer, how am I going to do that. And I actually had found this plate for it. I run it on my truck now, but it's going to end up going, that's the name of the Jeep, Hellboy. Basically, it's like again, my expression of what it's like going through cancer and the treatment and all the other stuff. But how can I say it? It's more than just me. It's my way of expressing it. But I'm gonna bring, as we get further along or get to a point where I want with a build, I'm going to start. I think I mentioned it before. I'm gonna get dog tags and I want other people to be part of this journey, not just me. And the journey's not about me. It ended up becoming, it's my way to express my art form, I guess, if you want to say that. But the purpose of it is it's for a bigger cause than just me. It's not. It's to show people, one, that just get out there and do something. If you have an idea, challenge yourself. A lot of the stuff that we're doing with it, I've done, but not in this format. So it's learning, challenging myself newer, challenging my dad, trying to challenge that whole aspect of getting along with my dad, and showing him how I do things and learning from how he did things. He constantly, he's always been a mechanical kind of dude, and I have too, but he doesn't understand. I want to say the challenge with my dad has been he feels like he knows it all, or he's the one doing it all, which it's not. It's both of us, and his ideas are different than mine, and trying to get him to understand my ideas and bring that into example. Yeah, so here is the old frame front end. We had to widen this, so cut it up and widen it out. There's no blueprint for this or anything. I wanted to chop the top. We started with that. We even, how can I say it? If you go back to the older one, you see how much. Then we started, let's see. How I wanted to, you got to see how it feels to get in there, so on. I found these tires online that I thought would be great for this. It's on, off, it's on, off, it's on, off. Taking measurements. This is, the front end. And then finding, again, like this is where we had to widen it. These headlights came off of another build, or came from the They're like 1920-ish, 30-ish. I just found them and I was like, hey, I think this would look cool on there. I don't know if I want to use them. I just don't know when and how that's going to lay up on there yet. This is how my dad envisioned the frame, as being like up, but I was like, it doesn't, for me, it doesn't, I need that extra 3 inches of height. So rather than doing it the way that he was doing it, we actually now are widen the frame so you sit inside instead of on top of. You know, he again, it's like he had his vision of the T-bucket. I didn't. That one in the back, that's the Celica, and the bike, other bike is over there. See what I mean? I'm drawing pictures of how I can see it in my head. This is something that he was proud of. This is for the tie rod ends to fit through on the frame, which he spent a lot of time doing that, but we may not end up using that. So that's the thing with some of the treatment. Some treatment you may do, and it may not work for you, you know what I mean? Or it may or may not. And that's the thing with this build is, I don't know if it'll work or it won't work. I pick an idea and then I transfer it over. Yeah, so this has been the build process of that build. A lot of hours thinking about how the direction I want to go with it. I'm taking ideas from him, welding it up. He's a big old school stick welder. I got a MIG and a TIG, but he wants to use the old stick, man. Now, with this being said, is no matter what you do in life, make sure you're getting a ton of photos of things, because you could always use that stuff as reference later going back. Like, this is me sitting in there and I wanted to get you got to get the feel of where the transmission is. You got to get a feel of where the steering wheel is. You got to get a feel of so many little things with it. So, and if you can notice, you see how low that is compared to the other car. And that's a pretty small car too. It's gonna show you. I'll keep going. So I had my dad sitting there, like, how does this height feel? How does that height feel? How do you feel position wise? Position for the seating. I got into this. We had I don't know if we chopped the top. I think we may have chopped this window even more, since it started off at one height. Yeah, here it is. Go back. I'm not gonna go all the way back there, but we ended up chopping it more for the height. Comparisons of if you're sitting in there, how high would it feel? Then we did the roof. How high is it sitting in there with the roof? I wanted to make sure that there was plenty of room in there, that you're not bumping your head, right? But I still wanted it to be low, and I wanted to be able to take this roof off or put it on, fold the window down. Like, so let's say an example, if I go to an event with this setup, I wanted to be able to be the lowest car at the event. That's, yeah. So without the roof, and if it didn't have a roll bar in it, the seat wise, I may have to work on, but because the ones I currently have go up to your back. But with this setup, I could take that off, fold the window down. Now it's like literally, yeah, if you look at it, it would be smaller than the tires, right? Back on the bringing other people into the, what I was talking about with building it for other people. On the Jeep, I plan to do dog tags of, I think I have it here. My goal was to, when I take it to events and so on, these are different dog tags. My goal was to take, I don't want to say is, when I have people support the build, or I take it to events or anything like that, anybody I cross paths with, I want to hear their journey. I want to hear their story of if they're going through cancer or whatnot. This is all, or they know somebody. Either they support the cause, they know somebody that's gone through cancer, or somebody I know that's gone through cancer. Somebody that's maybe passed from cancer. So I have like my wife's father passed from cancer. My buddy Tony passed away from cancer. I have another buddy whose son passed away from cancer. And my goal is I stapled this so I can't pull them out. Is because you could put a lot of words on these things. By the way, this one, if you don't know about military dog tags, this is the older version, and this little slot right there, if you had passed away, they would use that and put that in the teeth of the person that died. So maybe that's a cause too. Like use the ones that have the little lip, or even maybe get some custom ones made, because I had thought about doing different colors based off of whatever cancer they had. I do have a plan of if they're a veteran related versus civilian related. So there's a whole little thing that I have going for that too. But anyway, with that being said, is that with each dog tag, you have X amount of slots that you can use wording in, and that's why I chose the dog tags, because in the amount of space that I have on them, you can imprint, I could put it on the thing. So my goal is to, again, I keep saying goal, but they're going to either be riveted to the body or to the frame, to the roof side, inside, anywhere that I can think of that would fit with the cause or fit with the Jeep. I'm going to put them on there. And so the goal is to have, I keep saying it, I want to have a ton of these on there from people that support the cause, or I want it to tell a story. The story of the build itself is my story, I guess, because I'm building it, or it's my vision. The build is my vision, but the story it tells is not just mine. I've had all kinds of cars, but I've never had one like this that carries a cause more than me. I don't know if that makes sense, or so even if you see this build and you see me posting about it online or anything like that, there's a reason for its build. It isn't to show off, or I guess it is, but the purpose of it is not just to be a cool car. It has a way deeper meaning. So how can I say this? Let me see if I can find it. So I'll keep talking, but anyway. I'll get to one point. This is my dad chopping the roof. This is as it's coming together. Let me see. One of the visions that I seen was kind of like sitting in an F1 car. This is with the wider frame. Back on the roof off. The engine. I've had this engine for a while, and the goal with that engine is it's just to be different. I could put an LS in it, but I don't really care about the LSs. I wanted something that's just lightweight, small, different. And even on that side, I have a Jeep motor that I was like, maybe I can make it modular to where you can toss the motor in for this event, pull it out. I mean, you can see by the pictures of it, compared to any other car that I've ever worked on, I don't want to say, it looks like it'll be pretty easy to work on. If I have to do anything to the engine, it's right there. There's no obstructions, nothing like that. This is where I started getting into gear. I guess maybe I call it gear for it. I'm not sure what I call it. I want to put grenades on it. I got this is an old, I don't know what you could even call those things. Bayonet that goes on the front of a gun. Um, yeah, there's the grenades. There's the knife. This is more playing around with the look, the stance, and so on. Feel. This is what I picked up these seats for it. Now, granted, I'm trying to do this on a budget, as cheap as I possibly can. Already had people donate to the cause, so I much appreciated on that. You know who you are. More stuff with it. Me sitting in it, trying to get the feel for it, trying to visualize what this thing would look like in the end. You know, that's a lot of, even with the cancer journey, right? So going through the journey and seeing the what I want to say, seeing the I forgot, I lost focus of where I was going to say. Could I rewind this back a second? Anyway, you got to get a feel for how it feels. All right, there you go. That's what I was going to say. Even in like the cancer journey, right? You should put in your head like how you see the end result. How do you visualize? Do I see that? That's one thing that I feel about the cancer that sucks so much, man. Is like people, once you get that in the mindset that it's gonna win, it'll win. If you let the cancer take that part of your mind, it'll take over. It can take over, and it can take over your thing. So the battle, you know, this is why I listen to David Goggins, or I'm so hyped about David Goggins' book and some of that journey with stuff. Is like a lot of, I don't want to say every mindset is, I feel maybe 90% of the game, man. If you're not mentally up for the challenge, it can beat you down. If you're looking online and you're looking at these, you know, I see people, like I said, I see people that have been defeated and cancer took their life or so on. And if, and granted, I don't know if I'm going to win this thing or not, win the battle with it. I mean, I don't want to say I visually see myself winning the battle, or my current state is I don't see the cancer ever going away. So that's the first part that I'm dealing with. Maybe I'll hit a point and all of a sudden I gotta bounce in a few minutes, but my lunch break is about over. But anyway, in visually right now, mentally wise, I don't see the cancer going away, but I do see me fighting it and being able to live with it, I guess. Live with the disease and you know, like I guess AIDS is an example, you know, like AIDS could take your life. There's a lot of people that have it. You know, at first it would take in everybody, or a lot of people's lives. I don't want to say everybody, but it took a lot of lives. And now they don't have a cure. There's no cure for AIDS that I know of, but they're able to control it. So it's kind of like how I feel right now with this disease. Is I see like I can control this. How long right now? I don't know. I haven't visualized that in my head. And I'm trying to get to the point where I can visualize that. I can visualize it ain't visualize going for a long time, but I want to get to the point where I visualize maybe it being gone, or maybe we're living in the same body together. I'm not going to let you grow, and I'm going to keep growing, but mentally wise. So that's what I liked about the whole Goggins thing. Let's go back to this. Let's finish the Jeep and I'll tell you. I thought this was cool, cutting the hole in the hood and trying to get the height that I wanted. So it's all just little it's a bits. I thought it would be neat to show the mechanical side. Again, making modifications. These seats may not be the permanent ones that we use. We had to widen it out a little bit because it was really tight. Even, you know, I'm down to 150 pound wise right now, so it was light for me, but anybody bigger than me may have a hard time. Yeah, another problem with the cancer side is seems like I get cut. I think I mentioned that in another video. I get cuts and bruises way easier than I did before. This is measuring out things, putting weight perspectives together. Having worked on planes and building planes, you try to maximize what you can based off of the weight that you get. So this is now how this frame is switched. If you look at the other video, you'll see like it was in closer together. Now it's wider out. And that's so I can sit down lower inside of I'm lowering the CG of the CG center of gravity on the Jeep, which this is a steering wheel, or what I'm going to use for the steering wheel with it. So I love planes, I love cars, I love motorcycles, and this is going to give it that military-ish kind of feel. I'm leaving it all nasty and ratty, and I'm going to make the buttons work, so that'd be cool for the vision that I have with it. Yeah, I got to cut this short. Man, I could talk about this thing forever. We were playing with ideas of using, I have some spare plane parts floating around, so we played around with the idea, what if we take the tail section and put it on the back of that and make it work with the wheel. So if you turn the wheel, that the rudder would turn with the steering wheel. I thought that would be kind of interesting if we did it as a drift event, took it to a drift event and able to swing that thing around. We thought about putting a gas tank up on the roof, all kinds of just little, and this could be done, you know, like we could, the way that I set it up, or I'm setting it up, is maybe not this iteration, but we could have a top that goes on it that has that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, has the wing on another top, take it off for this event, go to airplane and cars meet, and now we throw that roof on there with this stuff. Make it modular where it can go on and come off and all that. And then a buddy sent me this, and then that ended up leading to, let's see, that ended up leading to, now I have a jet engine for the Jeep, which you can see it in the other engines or whatnot, but back on this is my last thing and then I gotta go. Back on the car stuff, let's say this, you know, back on the car itself, like I've had a lot of cool cars in my life and a lot of really cool, I feel like really cool cars, and I don't think anything really hits me like the Jeep build that we're doing. I've had a Ferrari, I've had a Porsche, I think I've had well over 100 cars. Let me just do this last one, and then I gotta get. And so, you know, when I see all these cars, yeah, they're cool. I had it, and when I bought the Ferrari, is a whole. Man, I got so many stories about this stuff. That was a dream of one of the dreams of mine too, and I did it. So, and I'm done with that. Sure, I love those cars, Lamborghini, Ferrari, but they don't excite me as what they used to anymore. Porsche doesn't excite me. I mean, I like the old school now, but the thing that I hated, this is another car that I did. I got stories for those, man. Did all the body work, painted it. ended up being like this in the end. This is another one that I did. This is actually the first one that started all my my big car stuff. Actually, my second one. No, I can't take that back. This is a long story with that stuff. Anyway, I gotta bounce. But I want to thank everybody that's watched this or will watch this. Hopefully you'll subscribe and see all my ins and outs, and I don't know, help me promote cancer awareness through all this stuff. And knowing that even though you could be going through hard times, there's always a positive side. So always look at the positive side of things. With that being said, I'm out. Peace. Love y'all. See ya.